errors when you go to register domains. So I'm going to click right here. When I click here, I'm going to have some directions that I need to follow. So the first thing being I need to log into my new Enom account. So actually let's go back here and I'm going to open this in a new window so I can show you how to do this. So log into your account. So we're going to use our username that we created. I use name tutorial and my password. Click log in. Okay, now you can see API live environment setup. So we need to add our IP addresses. So let's go back into our client area here. And there's a couple IPs that you need to add. So the first one is from this NS1. So you need to take this one, copy it, go back to Enom and add it, paste, and add. Now it's been added. Go back to our client area and let's go ahead and grab our primary IP, copy it, and paste it, add. So this adds two of our IP addresses to Enom's API. So now when our server is connecting to Enom, that it will give us permission to do so. So it's very important that you do this because if you don't, you will get an error when you go to register your domains. Okay, now that that is set, we are ready to go off to the races. I'm going to click Finish on this tutorial, and now we will jump into the next part where we're going to actually go in and verify some of the settings outside of the Setup Wizard. Okay, once we finish the Setup Wizard, we want to check the system health status of WHMCS just to make sure that everything is good running moving forward. So we're going to click on Help and System Health Status. Now basically we're looking for any red here. Now if you notice any red with the cron job, that's probably because you just installed it and the cron job hasn't had time to run. But if you notice a day or two goes by and you still have that, feel free to reach out to our support team and we can make sure we make the necessary adjustments. But you can see I've got one here and it's the insecure permissions check. So you can click on their documentation and they have a lot of security recommendations that they like you to do just to keep your installation secure. But the biggest one here is to change the actual permissions on the configuration file, just so no one else can write it remotely and potentially have access to your data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Name Hero client area here where our corporate reseller package is, and I'm going to click Log into cPanel because we're going to change the permissions of that configuration file real quick. We're going to click File Manager, and we're going to go into www, and we're going to click Billing, which is where we installed it. And we're going to scroll down to where we see configuration.php, and we are going to go to permissions, and we were going to change this to 400. So we're going to change it to just user read, that's it. So now we have 400, change permissions. So now we have changed the permissions on configuration, and we go back to WHMCS, we click refresh on it, and now we have a 0. So now we are good on that. Now there's a couple other warnings here. One is automatic update requirements. Automatic updates require a writable directory for staging during an update. So this is also important to do while we're in here. So let's go back to our file manager. And what I like to do is I like to go outside the public directory. So we're going to go up one level, and we've got stuff right inside of here. So you can see we've got a folder called WHMCS Data. We're going to double click in there, and let's create a folder, and we're going to call it Updates. Click Create New Folder. So once we do that, we can click in here, and we just want to grab this whole path here. So it's going to be right here, and we're going to use /home/namehero as well. So what I'm going to do is go back to WHMCS, and I'm going to click on Setup. Update WHMCS under Utilities. Go down to here, Configure Update Settings, and here's where I'm going to enter that temporary path. So I'm going to type in /home/namehero. And then I'm going to paste in that rest of that path, which is WHMCS/data/updates. Click Save Changes. And so then it's going to make sure that when I go to update it, it will be able to update successfully. And you don't have to worry about that now because you can see you're running the latest version, especially if you have already installed it. But that's something you may run into later on. So we're going to go back to System Health Status, and you can see we're good on that. Now, using default templates, we are using the default templates for the cart and the client area. If you are to make some changes, then you can follow the documentation on making a custom theme. But I'm not so concerned about that right now as I am the one below it, and that's Website SSL. SSL is not configured for nameherotutorial4u.com/billing. So let's talk about this really quick. SSL is free and automatic for all domains hosted at NameHero. So even when you're offering resellers space, when you're offering accounts, they're automatically going to have an SSL certificate on all of their subdomains and domains by us at NameHero. Now, the only requirement for this is they have to have their DNS changed over. Your DNS has to propagate. So I'll show you how to verify this, and then I'll show you how to change it. So we want to go back to our client area here, and we want to click Log into WHM. When we do that, we're going to type in Manage SSL. So we can see Manage SSL Host. We'll click that. And you just want to scroll down here, and you want to make sure you see Issuer Let's Encrypt beside your main domain here. So this means it has a dedicated SSL certificate and you're all good to go. It's automatically been generated for you. If you don't see this, or if you see Issuer says self-signed, reach out to our support team and we'll generate that for you manually. It automatically generates every night, once a night, but if you're in a hurry or if it hasn't generated yet, then we can kind of speed that process up for you. So let's go back into our WHMCS and let's go into some settings so we can go ahead and change that. So we're going to go to Setup, General Settings, and you're going to see our domain here. So what I like to do is switch this to HTTPS nameherotutorial4u.com. So we're going to go down here and WHMCS system URL, let's go ahead and change that as well. Or wait a second, we don't need to do this on the domain, just need to do it on the system URL here. And we'll scroll down and click Save Changes. So now, when we go to System Health Status under Help, we won't see that warning anymore. Finally, it's asking for one more PHP extension, and I believe Daryl covered this in his setup, but sometimes they change which ones they want you required. So XML RPC. So I'll show you how to add that too real quick while we're in here. We'll go back to cPanel, and I'm going to go to Select PHP Version. Click on that, then click Switch to PHP Options, and we're going to go to PHP Extensions. And we're looking for that XML one, so XML RPC. We're going to check it and click Save. Now that's been saved, we'll go back to WHMCS, refresh this page, and now we don't see that. So the only warning we have is that we're using default templates, and if we make changes, we need to create a custom one. But again, that doesn't have much concern. So 19 successful, that one warning, and 0 needing attention. So if you need help with this, our support team is familiar, and we can help you out with that. You don't have to reach out to WHMCS directly. NameHero is more than willing to make sure we get this to where you have 0 needing attention. So once that's set, then we can go into our general settings. And then what I like to do is, since we use the setup wizard, I just like to go through and verify that everything we did is correct. So we have our company name, and this is where you can change it. If you decide to change your company name later, or if you just want to change, maybe you didn't type it, maybe you made a spelling error or whatnot, you can go back and change it in here. So we have web hosting company, we have our email address and our domain. Now our logo, if we want to add a logo, we would enter the URL to our logo there. So that's where that is if we decide to add one later. We've got our